What's going on, everybody? Bobbybarks here, and welcome to my review for episode 2 of HBO's Last of Us. Please note, this is your spoiler warning for those of you who aren't caught up on the show as yet. It's easy for most reviewers to start unpacking an episode with the opening sequence, and I hope I don't do that for the next 2 months, but it's worth pointing out that the first 2 opening scenes in The Last of Us do just as much to build a sense of global unease as any overheard news report or Oval Office address could. In Infected, the series' second episode, the late 60s public affairs round table gives way to Dr. Ibu Ratner, which is a magnificent Christine Hakim, a scientist and professor shown as one of the first people to recognise that humanity was fucked. If last week's first episode didn't do enough to prime a viewing audience for a short supply of hope early on in The Last of Us, here's an expert recognising within minutes that nothing can be done. Dr. Ratner moves through the stages of confusion, curiosity, terror, and resignation, already grieving a society she knows is doomed. There's something eerie about a scientist, a profession famous for considering possible alternatives and explanations, making such a definitive and ultimately life-ending statement. This is not an environment where hope will thrive. Shout out to Flower, the real evil in this series. Watch out for Grandma's cookies. So when we jump forward in time to rejoin Ellie, Joel and Tess as they continue their trek out of Boston's quarantine zone, it feels like a bit of a breath of fresh air. Ramsey, Pascal and Tove are a delight to watch. They don't just move the plot along with their dialogue, they act with intention, and you can sense the emotional underpinnings in every uncomfortable pause and concerned glance. Joel hasn't felt happiness or hope in a long time. This isn't explicitly explained, but you can see it in Pascal's performance that Joel never fully recovered from losing Sarah. His relationship with Tess is clearly a deep and somewhat dark one, but the memory and fallout of losing his daughter has reduced him to being a perpetually stern and defensive old man. The episode delivers a moment us fans have been eagerly awaiting, the introduction of clickers in the abandoned museum, whose exterior, halfway swallowed by overgrowths of flora and fungi, looks spectacular, by the way. The clickers look appropriately mortifying and somehow sound even scarier than they look. They translate perfectly to the TV, and in fact the entire museum clicker melee is masterfully choreographed. It's taken straight from the game and even features a shot of Joel and Ellie crouched together behind cover as a clicker lurks around the corner, evoking all the feels for us fans that were accustomed to that iconic visual of the duo in action. It is worth pointing out that Mr. Lee and Phil Kovacs, who voiced the clickers in the game with that eerie sound, reprised their role for the TV show. And here you thought only Merle Dandridge was reprising her role from the video game. Unlike the game, the episode can't help but take a dark and sad turn by the end. We come to find out later that Tess has been infected by one of the clickers, but they're so close to completing their mission that she keeps Joel and Ellie in the dark so as not to deter them. She knows Ellie is worth fighting for, and with her heroic last act, she passes on that message to Joel. If you want to check out a video comparing the game to the show, then do please check out Specklize's video. For long-standing subscribers of mine, you'll remember Specklize from the T-Lose multiplayer tournaments I hosted, whereas he's making really successful videos on YouTube, with one of his most recent ones showing the direct comparisons between the game and the show. Whilst the scenario of Tess scrambling to spark her lighter was suspenseful, it did feel a bit trope, and it was recently used in the last Naughty Dog adaptation to the screen. It felt slightly odd to use a lighter when there's multiple grenades lying around. What was cool though was the inscription on the lighter taken straight from Uncharted. In this moment, we know she's already dead, especially when we bear witness to the grossest scene involving a runner since I saw pictures of Oscar Pistorius' bathroom. She begged Joel to get Ellie to the Fireflies to set things right for all the shit they did. This is her last chance to do something good in the world, and when she finally gets that lighter to spark, she knows she did good. And when Joel sees the giant fireball from afar, he pretty much knows it too. The sophistication of Tove's performance is worth a shout out. She completely stole the episode in my opinion. The mix of determination and sorrow on her face as Tess carries out a final smuggling mission is heartbreaking, and her exchanges with Pascal are beautifully complex and downright tragic at times. Whilst the episode was significantly shorter than the pilot, and there's little progression in terms of distance covered since leaving the QZ, we do learn more about the situation, the characters and the infection. The gentler pace allows for Bella Ramsey to really make Ellie her own. She playfully banters with Joel and Tess while later wisely keeping quiet when Joel snaps at her for asking too many questions. These complex interactions make their eventual connection through a fleeting moment as the sun streaks across the Boston skyline all the more affecting. Co-showrunner and the game's creator Neil Druckmann makes his TV directorial debut, and his keen eye for beauty in this shattered world is replicated. One image in particular stood out for me as we see a frog hopping along a piano's keys. Druckmann also proves that he's more than capable juggling the more subtle intimacy between the Last of Us leads and the pulse-pounding terror surrounding them. With its stakes now in place and Ellie and Joel on their cross-country journey, The Last of Us has shifted into place. With the initial setup now complete, 2 episodes in, the show has delivered both big bombastic set pieces and uglier, more desperate action beats, keeping the audience on the edge of their seat. Through it all, The Last of Us keeps sight of the human element that has made the game such a success, balancing widespread despair with the pursuit of hope in whatever strange form it may take on. That's all from me on this review. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day. Bye for now.